Get yourself some bottles of Tic-Tacs or any kind of mint that comes in fixed quantities. Tic-Tacs, for instance, come in bottles of 60 and 100, except in Australia, where they come in bottles of 50. Go figure. But any kind of mint or candy that comes in a fixed number per bottle will do. Keep it with you at all times in your pocket, purse, or briefcase. Get into this habit. Whenever you notice a what-if thought, or you hear yourself saying it out loud, take out your bottle of Tic-Tacs. Take one out. You can eat it, or you can flick it onto the street or toss it in the garbage. Whatever you do with it is fine, just remove one from the bottle and close the bottle. You can use this as a way to track and count the number of times you experience a what-if thought during the week. If you prefer, you could use some other method like a clicker. I like the Tic-Tacs though because they are more likely to interrupt you in your mental business as usual. And if you feel self-conscious about doing this kind of self-monitoring, no one will notice a thing, just a person eating a mint. Practice makes permanent. Do this for a couple of weeks, and you will make a pretty permanent change in your ability to notice the what-if thoughts. They will no longer be subliminal, slipping into your mind unnoticed the way a pickpocket gets your wallet without drawing your attention. Now you will become more and more aware of the habit, and it will start to lose some of its power to fool you. Most people quickly come to recognize how central these what-if words are. Occasionally, I meet someone who discovers they use a variation on this phrase, such as suppose, isn't it possible, or other words that contain the same invitation to imagine bad stuff happening in the future. If you discover that your worry bait comes in a slightly different wording, you can use Tic-Tacs to observe that wording as well. One more thing before you start. As you start using the Tic-Tacs, you might be displeased when you notice how many times you catch yourself in the act of what-ifing. You might feel overwhelmed when you realize how often this thought occurs to you. You might feel, initially, that you would have much preferred that I hadn't ever brought it to your attention. Don't be fooled. This is the good news when you notice all those what-ifs, even though you may initially feel dismayed and discouraged. It's the good news because you've been having all those thoughts for some time, long before you started this audiobook. All that's different now is that you're noticing them. That's the good news because noticing them is a new skill that will help you. Keep track of your counts for a couple of weeks to help you really get into this habit of passively observing what if. How does this strategy of becoming more consciously aware of these what if thoughts compare to what you usually do? I'm thinking that is probably the opposite of what you usually do. That might seem odd and uncomfortable to you. However, it's actually a good sign that your efforts to change your relationship with chronic worry are on the right track. Remember the rule of opposites. My gut instinct of how to respond to chronic worry is typically dead wrong, and I am better off doing the opposite of my gut instinct. If you don't remember that, you can review it in Chapter 5. If you keep responding in the same way, you can expect the same results. We are looking for different results here, and this will take different, even opposite, actions. We can see the rule of opposites in action when we consider that many people try very hard to distract themselves from their worrisome thoughts. If that really worked, you wouldn't be listening to this audiobook. You would have already dismissed and banished your unwanted worries. It just doesn't work that way. It works the opposite. The more you try to eject thoughts from your mind, the more they keep coming back in, like unwanted drunks at a party. That doesn't mean the effort to distract yourself is worthless, however. It can point to some useful information. Consider this question. When are you motivated to distract yourself from a problem? What does it tell you about that problem? Think about that for a minute. What kind of problems do we usually want to distract ourselves from? Imagine that you were standing in line at a bank when a robbery broke out and you heard gunshots. How likely would you be to take out your checkbook and balance it in order to distract yourself from the unpleasant gunplay? Probably not very likely. You'd be too busy diving to the floor or looking for some cover or an exit. You'd be trying to protect yourself, not distract yourself. When are we motivated to distract ourselves from unpleasant and worrisome thoughts? When we're not facing a clear and present danger, when the chips are not down, when the babbling of our cerebral cortex, rather than the self-defense of our amygdala, is center stage. So when you notice that you feel the urge to distract yourself, this can be a powerful reminder of what the game is. The chips are not down, you are not in danger, and that's why you are motivated to distract. If you actually were under the gun, you wouldn't even think of distraction.